Hi, Scorpio. I'm Ronique, and welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to your mid-March through April career tarot reading. This is where we're going to look at your finances, your job. In this time, we have huge energy shifts going on between March and April. We are in eclipse season, Scorpio. We also have two planets retrograding, Venus and Mercury, as well as we have Neptune finally moving into the sign of Aries. It has been in Pisces for the last 13 years. So this is all huge shifts. And by time we move into April, we'll be having Venus and Mercury moving direct, which will be huge for your career. So do take a look at the description box below. It has all those important dates for you, Scorpio. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love if you would. All right, Scorpio, let's get into it. We will start this reading, let's see, mid-March, right around that eclipse. So we start off mid-month with the High Priestess in reverse, major arcana, as well as the Moon card, Piscean energy, another major arcana. By the time we get to late March, Page of Swords in the reverse, as well as the Ten of Wands also in reverse. By the time we are entering April, Nine of Cups in the reverse. Lots of reversals here, Scorpio. As well as the Strength card. Glad to see that in the upright, major arcana. And then by the time we move into mid-April, look at that. Six of Pentacles, so nice to see. And lastly, the Two of Swords in reverse, hopefully coming out of some type of decision-making, feeling a lot more confident by the time you get to mid-April. So wonderful end to this time. I do think you all have some contemplating going on right around the eclipse cycle, but that makes a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and ask Spirit to send you a card representing the energy that you bring into mid-March. This could have been something you were dealing with in your career back in February. So let's see what Spirit has for you. And you have the Devil. And the Devil is that card that is the Capricornian energy, another major arcana. So you all have been facing some type of energy around where is it that you have started some goals, possibly haven't finished them or haven't been able to reach them like you thought. There seems like there's some Saturnian energy here as well, where you've had bosses or organizations that were not possibly for your highest good. You've been trying to work through that energy. And I do think some of this is lingering as you move into March, just because you have High Priestess, Moon, and that Strength card. So you'll have four major arcanas going on during this time, suggesting that you are working through some cycles of possibly moving on from a current employer. I also heard some of you could be thinking about what are your next moves, and you're contemplating what is, almost like you're toying with yourself, going back and forth on which is the best move to make. You can see those two figures here of trying to figure out, is this something I want to do, but you feel chained because you need a paycheck? That is going to be this energy that you bring into mid-March. And do know, Scorpio, that once we get through eclipse season, that could definitely change. This is just energy that could be meeting you at the beginning of this reading, like right around that eclipse. So let's go ahead and pull a card, which is going to be an oracle message. Spirit, if you can send my Scorpios an oracle card. Choose wisely. So I think this card is so fitting for what I was just talking to you about, of deciding which way you need to go. Which is the way that you are going to feel the most confident, is going to lead you on your soul's journey. And I do feel like for many of you all, this is a major shift. This isn't just like finding a new job. This is like, do I even want to work for anyone anymore? Do I want to be my own boss? Do I want to change professions? Like, this doesn't feel like a small task. So I am telling you, Scorpio, don't think this all has to be accomplished here in March and April, but I do think this process is beginning here in this eclipse cycle. So pay attention to synchronicities, people who come into your world during this next 2 months. And I do think this starts getting a little clearer once we move into mid-April and late May, okay? Okay, Scorpio, so that's already so much going on. Let's pull one last card. This is going to represent the energy that you need to work on, only dealing with just your job, just your career. This card is the overarching message of this entire cycle for you, Scorpio. That one tried to come out, but didn't all the way. So, Spirit, what do you have for my Scorpios? What message do you have for them? And you have the Nine of Wands in reverse. So the Nine of Wands in the upright is that card of looking back over your shoulder, coming through a tough time, knowing that you're almost at the end. Remember, nines are completion. I will tell you though, with it in reverse, Spirit is suggesting that you are not as close to the end as you think, but this is actually a good thing, meaning you could have thought that everything was lost, you're just tired of where you're at, you already know you're not going to get further, and Spirit is telling you, no, you have much further to go, and I'm going to start sending you some messages showing you what new directions to take. So keep that in mind as you move through this period. You are not done. So I love that message for you, Scorpio, because you know, I'm a fellow Scorpio too, and we are warriors. Like, we will just keep going and going and going, even though we are tired and worn out. All right, so let's go ahead and go week by week. You start off mid-March. This is right at that eclipse on March 14th, that lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, 23 degrees of Virgo. Excuse me. This full moon will highlight what details you need to start focusing on. Now, I will tell you that this is the first eclipse that we have had since, let's see, in the fall, we had that Pisces eclipse. So this Pisces and Libra eclipse, or Pisces and Virgo eclipse, are going to be the first ones in this axis. And I do think that moon and that high priestess, oh my goodness, that energy right there is like that Piscean sun coming on through at this full moon, and that high priestess is like, what is it intuitively that is holding you back? You do not have all the information right now, Scorpio, so you're going to have to be patient with this process, but know that something powerful is trying to break through. But between Mercury, Venus, and eclipse season, all of that is kind of clouding your judgment. You're not able to see clearly. And I do think that once we get to, let's see, the 20th, when the sun enters Aries and we have this new spring equinox, I do think that's when you start thinking through things in a different way. And I think this high priestess is going to help you intuitively connect to possibly some new people. Networking could come up during that time. But I think during that first eclipse, everything is not clear enough for you to really make sense of it. But Spirit is telling you, keep following the breadcrumbs. That's what I heard. So remember that Nine of Wands? I told you Spirit was going to keep giving you clues. Now you see you have this 10 of Wands and that 9 of Wands, both in reverse. Again, suggesting you are not done, okay? So by the time we get to latter part of March, this is now when we have Mars in Cancer on the 26th, squaring Chiron in Aries. Be careful of people being short in patience, not wanting to fully communicate. I do feel like that Page of Swords, someone is trying to get you some information. But once again, I feel like there's still like this lag of, you know, someone has dropped the ball, something is sitting in someone's email. There's something here where you're waiting and you're like, I'm really done. Like, I'm really trying to be done. And Spirit is telling you, just hold on. This solar eclipse on the 29th of March, in the sign of Aries, this is going to be a new moon, and it will close out a 2-year cycle of that Aries and Libra axes. So just be patient, Scorpio. I can feel it. It's kind of like each week you get a little more information, but you don't get the whole thing. So I just think pay attention. I do think that things are going to be clearing up for you in April. Okay, Scorpio. So by the time we move into April, that last day, actually last few days of March, Neptune enters Aries. This is huge, you all, because Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces for the last 13 years. And it takes Neptune 138 years to get through the entire zodiac. So it moving into Aries is like new ideas, new creativity, taking action on intuition. And I do think you all with that Strength card and that Nine of Cups around that Neptune in Aries and around Venus and Mercury turning direct in March, you all have some kind of new opportunities and wishes that are coming true but haven't fruition yet. So you have been waiting on a certain employer to call you back from an interview. You are waiting for, it's something here like you're waiting on a wish and you just have to be patient. Use your strength of balance. Know that everything is working in divine order and this is going to come true. I do think that choose wisely though. Remember that oracle message comes through by time you get to mid-April. I will tell you that by time we get to April 7th, Venus retrograde is conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And then a few days later on the 12th is a big day. We have the Sun conjunct Chiron in Aries, a Libra full moon, and Venus will finally turn direct in Pisces. So now we have all this forward momentum. And I do think that there's an offer that could come for you mid-April, but you have some important decisions to make. And I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I feel like you have been primed for this. And I do think by time you get to April 14th through May 3rd, this is when all planets are direct. This is a great time to have these conversations, great time for you to be signing contracts, great time for you to say, you know what, I'm no longer stuck with that Two of Swords and finally feeling really good. And by the time you get to the 18th, Mars moves into Leo. So that is, Mars is you all's co-ruler. And so I do think that this forward momentum in Leo is exactly what you all need. So I do feel like by the time you get to mid-April, things are starting to pick up steam. And I think by May, if any of you all have been looking for a job, I do think that the energy is going to be much better. So overall, Scorpio, I think this is going to be a very life-changing time for many, especially those signs that are affected directly with that energy of Mars, energy of Virgo, of Pisces. And I do think that this energy right here is like you just have to work through it. But by time you get to mid-April, when all planets are direct, I think you all are going to have a much, a much better time finding a job if that's what you're looking for, or just having a much better work-life experience. So I hope this was helpful, Scorpio. You can hear me falling over my words. Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde, and this always happens close to Mercury retrograde. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you're looking forward to, and I'll talk to you later.